Hola, happy Tuesday. What's a happening, hot stuff? You gotta come this way, baby. It's a glorious day. It's in the 50s, high in the 60s, but it is gonna rain. But I'll take it. I'm not gonna complain, no. Because I know some people are still in snow. And we down here blooming. We are going to have, well, we already have pollen flying around, but soon we will have the yellow devil's dust. Yes, that's what pine trees produce, yellow devil's dust. It covers everything. These daggum branches tripping all over them. Sheesh, watch where you're going. I worked with a guy who said he always walked with his head down. Somebody asked him why he walked with his head down, and he said, well, my mom always told me if you make eye contact with someone, then you have to speak, because that's the polite thing to do. He said, so I just walk with my head down, that way I never make eye contact and I don't have to speak. I was like, it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. Because sometimes you just don't want to speak, you know? So you walk with your head down. I like it. I usually do walk with my head down out here, unless I'm making a video. And then that would be weird also, right? Right. The things. Oh, the things. Well, I thought of this story this morning because I was watching Hanging with Pawpaw and he mentioned honey buns. Of course, his story with honey buns was about a pig. Mine is going to be about inmates. Honey buns are a hot commodity in a jail. Yeah, they like to buy them and trade them for things. But this specific story is about the old prison. The Cobb County prison where I worked, the old one, was built in 1877. So can you imagine all of the people that went through there, all of the stories, all of the ghosts? It was haunted. I know for a fact it was haunted. And I wasn't even sure that I believed in hauntings and haints and things like that until I was up there by myself. There was one entrance, and once you came in that door, you had to come up the stairs on this side. Now, let me back up. I was in the metal building attached to the building built in 1877. This old building was built in the 60s, but they still attached. So it had this one entrance, so you would either turn and come up these steps, or you went down the hall and you came up the stairs on the other side. That was the only entrance exits to this area where I was working. And there were no windows on the outside wall. It's a prison. It's part of the prison. And then on the left side, there was the training room. Then there was a group of offices where I was located, which used to be where the old warden's office was located. And then there was another set of offices. So I'm sitting up there, I think by myself, and I'm just working away, you know, piddling around, doing all the things, and I hear somebody coming up those stairs. And then I hear somebody walking down the hall. I would see them walk past my door. They had to get past my door unless they went in the training room. But they walked too far to go in the training room because the training room was about, I don't know, well, for me, 10 steps, but for a grown man, maybe 5 steps. They took way more steps than that. And I was like, never saw them walk by. Well, then the daggum power went out. Yeah, the power went out. And when I tell you it is dark, the building had an exit sign with those little bitty lights under it. That's the only light that came on when the power went out. That's it. And there was no windows except for in what used to be the warden's office, which was in the major's office now. There was no windows, so it was black. It was black dark. Well, I still hear people walking up and down the halls. with it pitch black. Now the lights came back on and I stopped hearing noises. So when the lights came back on, I got up and I walked to every single room. The training room, empty. I knew they hadn't come in that door to go to my office. I went down the hall to where there were 2 more offices, empty. It's like, what is going on? Well, I then go back to my office and sit down, and the power goes out again. I start hearing people walking up and down the halls again. Hold on. Now then, let's go to work. So I didn't mean to get on the ghost trail. That's not where I meant to go, but here we are. Here we are. When the power came back on, I called Sheila, and I was like, because she worked in the front part of the building, the 1877 part of the building. I said, is your power going out? And she goes, yeah. She said, the wind's blowing really hard, and there's this big oak tree out front, and the power line is kind of swinging, just a swinging, and it's hitting the tree that is causing the power to go out. That's safe, right? Anyway, so I did feel a little bit better about that. And I said, well, I keep hearing like people walking up and down the halls, but it seems like I hear it worse when the power goes out. I hear it worse. I hear it more when the power goes out. And she said, oh yeah, that's just the ghost. They're fine. They won't hurt you. What? Squeeze me? She goes, they won't hurt you. I hear them all the time upstairs. Well, the next time, okay, so we hung up, the power went out. I sat through that, holding my purse ready to go, because I wasn't going to walk in the dark. Because, like I said, it is dark. And I had all them stairs to go down, which, y'all know me by now. I'm a klutz anyway, so I wasn't about to fall down those 20 stairs and nobody around to hear me tumbling down the stairs. So I walked up to Sheila the next time the lights came back on, because I was like, I don't want to be alone with whomever is walking up and down the halls up there. And she said, well, you can hear them upstairs jumping around on the beds. What? I mean, like, why do you say this? Like, this is just a normal occurrence. So she says, well, let's go upstairs and look around. Okay. So we did. I didn't see any ghosts. I didn't hear any ghosts down there. I only heard them up in my area, but that was enough for me. I was done. But the honey bun part of the story that I wanted to tell y'all is up there where I worked back in the day, when this was actually an operating, it wasn't an operating prison when I worked in it. We just used it for office space. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely? We just used it as office space. But back in the day, up there where my training room was, that used to be the commissary. They could place an order for whatever they wanted, and as long as they had money on their books to cover it, they could get it. So they would buy honey buns. Like I said, honey buns were a hot commodity. I can see being in jail or prison and wanting to eat honey buns all the time, right? Yeah, a lot of inmates actually could not fit into their clothes when they left jail because they had eaten so much that they had gained weight. Yeah, so a lot of them walked out without their pants meeting and their t-shirts pulled down or whatever they wore to jail. Anyway, back to the honey bun story. I'm going to get there eventually. I was told, well, I usually used my bathroom because my office had a little bathroom right there, which I would imagine was the warden's bathroom because it was nicer and bigger. But there was also a bathroom on the other side of the wall in the hallway that most of the men used, right? I mean, they could use either one, but typically we reserved the bigger, nicer one for the few ladies that worked up there. And anyway, well, mine was occupado. Occupado, is that how you say that? Mine was occupied. So I went into the hallway to use the restroom. You know how you do. You're just kind of sitting there, looking around, using the potty. And I'm like, why is all that heavy duty, like, screen, but it was metal screen, you know, like heavy duty metal screen up on the ceiling over the, it had ceiling tiles. That's odd. So my sergeant was actually one of the officers, corrections officers, that worked in this prison when it was still functioning. So I asked him, and I was like, why is that metal screen over the ceiling in that hall bathroom? He said, well, some inmates would come up here to clean. That's what inmates in prison do. They do all the cleaning. It's not like you have a maid service come into a prison. So he said they could come up here and they could clean out all the areas, except they couldn't go in the commissary unless people were in there to make sure they didn't grab anything, because there were just shelves of stuff, you know, and they had people in there that when they would get the order, they would walk around and put all the stuff they had ordered in this bag and put their name on it. So anyway, he said, so I guess this one night they were up there probably cleaning the floors, and they went to use the restroom, the men's restroom, and they stood on the toilet and they climbed up into the ceiling. He crawled over to the commissary and he dropped down and he loaded up, and he crawled back through and dropped back down into the bathroom, and he went back to, you know, his dorm after they got through cleaning, and he had all this free commissary stuff. Well, I don't know how he got caught. I can't remember if Daryl told me, but that's why they put that mesh up there. I guess he got caught because the ladies that worked the commissary probably had a very tight inventory on their stuff. But regardless, that's why the metal was over the ceiling. And thankfully, I didn't have any guests when I was working up there, but Megan was working in the training room, and she kept hearing things walking around in the ceiling. And, you know, of course you think it might be a rat. No, it was a raccoon. A raccoon got up in the ceiling and would peek down through the ceiling. Scared Megan to death. But yeah, that's, he got in there and stole the honey buns. But the best prison story, as far as that building goes, that I ever heard was one of the officers that they hired. He was a Navy SEAL, and when they hired him, they said, we want you to go in undercover as an inmate, and we think that we have some dirty officers who were bringing things in and stuff like that, and we want you to be an inmate for however long and report back to us. And he did. And they fired a bunch of people who were apparently sneaking stuff into the inmates. I was like, you did that? And he was like, yeah, it's no big deal. He said it was just like being in the military. You get up, you get dressed, you go stand for inspection, you eat, you clean. He said it was just like the military. And he said, nobody messed with me. I was like, I guess not, since your shoulders are as wide as this door frame. Speaking of him, well, I decided to be funny one day, and I was going to try to knock this man out of the doorway. Me. Yeah, me. I was going to knock him out of the doorway. Did I mention he was as white as the doorway and a Navy SEAL? Yeah. So I have these thoughts that just, here we go. And I took off running, and I hit his arm. He had his arm kind of up like this. And I hit his arm like I was going to push him out of the way. And instead, it was like I just swung through like he was monkey bars or something. He didn't even, I don't think I'm in the parking place good. He didn't even like budge. And he looked down at me like I was this little tiny ant. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I was trying to take you down," but he was like, "Really? Were you?" I was like, "Well, I was, but okay, whatever. I'm at work. I think correctly in my parking place this time, so I'll be back." Now then, I'm home, chillaxing on the couch, and came on here to finish up this video. I would like to say, though, that I think I was not clear on this. I think everyone thought because I said it looks ugly and it's purple that it's infected. It is not infected. It's purple because I was squeezing on it so hard it was bruised, and it's fine today. So it's yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm fine. Hey, my thumb was way worse than this. So I'm just wearing a Band-Aid to keep it covered because digging in the thing. I still don't know if I got the thing out, but I think I did. The splinter. Lisa looked at it today and she was like, "I don't think the splinter's in there." And I don't either. I mean, it don't feel sore except for where I prodded and poked and did all the things in it. But anyway, it's fine. I'm fine, and everything's fine, right? Right. I hope y'all have had a great day. Remember, I love you. Jesus loves you. I hope he's coming back soon, because these people be crazy. And I will talk to you on the next Tracy Tries, which, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, will be tomorrow, since I do post every day, okay? Toodles, my noodles, and stay silly, my friends, okay? Okay.